Let's talk about addictions. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Rapid Subconscious Reprogramming. Happy to have you here. I hope you can take advantage of this talk that I'm going to offer right now. It's a difficult topic to talk about, but I feel that it's an important one that we need to address. So let's start a little bit with the dictionary, meaning of addiction. Addiction is a neurophysiological disorder characterized by a persistent and intense urge to use a drug or engage in a behavior that produces natural reward despite substantial harm and other negative consequences. So I want to talk a little bit about this because a lot of people think that addictions mainly are drugs, alcohol, and things like that. So I really want to address today this from the point of view that I have towards addictions. So, hey, Alex, yes, here we go. The camera is on now. I was just doing the introduction. So thank you, Alex, for being here. Romana, Evan, hi, you guys. Hey, to you. So let's keep going with, let's talk about addictions. What I feel the best, definition of addiction is whatever you do that moves you away from your pain. Yes, whatever you do to move away from the pain. Because again, as I was saying before, a lot of people think that addiction could be, using drugs. And of course, it is an addiction because they're using drugs to numb the pain. So smoking, yes, thank you, Alex, of course. So addiction in itself is not the problem. We need to understand, as Gabor Mate and many other people out there share, is that addiction is the solution to a deeper problem. And if we can understand that, again, addiction is much broader than what we think. Addiction could be to go running, to go to the gym, to eat well, to whatever, right? Whatever it is, spirituality could be an addiction. And what do I mean with this? A lot of people since childhood have been programmed to think that they're not good enough, they're inadequate, there's something wrong with them, that they're failures, and such a big variety of different things that they feel. So a lot of people out there are seeking to get into maybe a group of runners or a group of people that eat healthy or into spirituality, because in a way they're looking to try to deny what they feel about themselves. So instead of dealing with their pain, they're moving away from the pain with whatever type of behavior they're using. As I said, running, eating healthier, spirituality, meditation, affirmations, gratitude, whatever it is that I'm using to move away from the pain, that's where Tommy, I call this an addiction. And this is important to realize because, again, if I think that people that, do drugs are drug addicts, have addictions, what I'm doing in a way is I'm protecting myself from thinking that I might have, a deeper problem that I'm trying to solve through whatever I'm using, as I said, the different things just now. So my first recommendation is to open your mind, open your heart to understand that all of us have some type of addiction. All of us have it. We need to understand, and this is what I believe, that we have our spiritual side and our human side. Our human side is our humanity that needs to be loved and accepted, needs to be embraced. So when that part of us, whatever part of humanity, is not feeling loved, is not feeling accepted, is not feeling recognized, it might look for something to try to numb the pain, right? That's what I would call an addiction, or look for love and acceptance. People pleasing is a way of looking for love and acceptance. Perfectionism is a way to look for love and acceptance. So now moving into the numbing the pain of the lack of love and acceptance, we all have it. One way or another, we all have it. So whenever you're moving away from the pain and not really dealing with it, and understanding it, whatever you do, whether it is practicing forgiveness, practicing gratitude, practicing visualization, positivity, you're actually causing more damage. And this is important to understand because people think that because they're practicing some type of healthy addiction, they're not causing damage. So that's why, according to the dictionary that, what I just read about what an addiction is, it doesn't fall into that category. But you need to understand that you're creating emotional pain. Because if you're in love with somebody, listen to this, if you're in love with somebody and that person walks away, would you feel some type of heartbroken or some type of pain? Type a yes in the chat if you would feel some type of pain if a person that you really love dearly, they walk away or they pass away. How would you feel? Right? Would you feel some type of pain? Yes or no? And the answer for everyone from the human side, for sure. Thank you. Yes, Susan. Suzanne, sorry. Yes, Mike. Yes, Tuya. Yes, Romana. Thank you. Yes, it's going to bring pain, right? So if it brings pain, we need to deal with the pain. There's nothing wrong with the pain, but we need to deal with it. So if somebody walks away from us and we're going to feel pain, imagine if you do that to yourself. There's a part of me that is in pain. And imagine that I walk away to go run. I walk away to go to the gym. I walk away by doing affirmations of positivity to try to force that part of me to feel good. I'm not really solving the problem. And seriously, what came to my mind, I'm going to start doing this if I have time. It's a bit difficult because it takes time to do this, is having two Tommies. One Tommy dressed one way, another Tommy dressed in another way. And I've seen this type of interaction and there people love this, is Tommy talking to another Tommy, right? And imagine Tommy saying, oh, you know what? I'm sad. Oh, Tommy, don't be sad. You know, feel good enough. You're great. You're amazing. You're this, you're that. And what I'm going to, portray is this Tommy trying to shut up the other Tommy that is saying that he feels sad. How do you imagine that Tommy is feeling that I'm pretending to shut him up by thinking positive? Of course, that other part of me is not going to feel good. And this is what I want you to understand. You can do that to yourself. People don't get how powerful the mind is. When you walk away from your pain by ignoring it, repressing it, right? So many people out there are teaching this, shutting it up, putting a name and saying like, Thomas, shut up, I don't want to hear you. By doing those things, you're creating more emotional pain. When you create more emotional pain, you're creating the opposite of what you were looking in the first place. So what I want you to understand is that no matter what you do, whether it is healthy or not healthy, that you're using to move away from the pain and not really dealing with it, not really understanding it, is not really helping you. Whatever it is, even if it's healthy. If I feel negative and I go meditate just to feel good and I'm meditating there in silence just to try to feel good, I'm not actually dealing with the problem. Again, if my wife is sad, is angry at me, and I just go meditate and pretend nothing is happening, I might feel a bit better, but it didn't solve the problem with my wife. So what I would need to do, and I'm not saying it's always easy, is to go talk to see what's going on. So whenever you're feeling something negative, I wanted to invite you to try something totally different than what most people are teaching is, okay, there's a part of me, so you're going to say like this, there's a part of me that is feeling sad. There's a part of me that is feeling lonely, is feeling jealous, is feeling guilt, is feeling something negative. Embrace it. Love that part of you. It has valid reasons to feel that way. Validate it. Next step is a part of me is feeling sad. Okay, it has valid reasons. I might not understand why right now, but there's a reason behind it. When you start treating parts of you, parts of the mind like that, you start listening to yourself. When you start listening to yourself, the part of you that feels lonely, that doesn't feel good enough, that doesn't feel adequate, at least it starts feeling that there's somebody there. Because when you're feeling sad, wouldn't you love somebody to be there holding your hand, putting a hand over your shoulder and saying, hey, Tommy, I hear you. I understand that you're in pain. Can you let me know why? You know what's going on? Many distractions out there. Yes, Suzanne, of course. That is the problem. There's many distractions out there, and we're looking for comfort on the outside. When we don't have anybody to give us comfort at that moment, we're going to start looking for comfort on the outside. And that could look like sitting and watching a movie, looking for comfort, eating, eating sugar, eating garbage, smoking, again, going for a run, going for a walk, but not actually connecting with the pain. And this is what a lot of people are using personal development from the ego. The ego, listen to this, people, and this is so important. The ego wants to control. Spirit loves and accepts what is. Ego wants to control. So if you're feeling bad and you do something to try to feel good, you're coming from control. Does that make sense? Type a 2 in the chat if that makes sense what I just said. When you're trying to feel good by doing something externally, you're coming from ego. You're coming from control. When you come from ego and control, you're not actually dealing with the pain. You're trying to bypass it. You're trying to hack it. You're trying to repress it. And that doesn't work anymore. We need to deal with an entity. But what is that always a bad thing? Don't get me wrong, Suzanne. Doing nice things, going for a walk is great, but go for a walk and have that inner conversation with yourself. Go meditate and have that inner conversation with yourself. Listen, understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Give yourself the comfort that you're looking on the outside. There's a song out there that I just heard it a couple of, I don't know, a month or two ago. I don't know if it's new or not, but I think it's called Flowers or something like that. That is a person that is talking about it's a woman singing, talking about buying herself flowers, taking herself out for dinner. So do nice things for yourself. Don't get me wrong. But also, if you're feeling sad, connect with that and understand it. It's more desperate. I feel it's more desperate that I go not quite getting the ego. So, Mike, we'll talk a little bit more in a second, okay? So the ego is trying to control. When the ego is trying to control, it's not really receiving what it needs. That is love, support, and understanding. What we really needed at that moment is a part of us that felt sad. It's understanding where the sad is coming from. What is the story that I'm telling myself that is creating that sadness, right? Miley Cyrus. Thank you very much, Tuya. There you go. Miley Cyrus. I think it's Flowers song. And I love the lyrics because, you know, it's talking about taking care of you. So it's taking care of you. So again, do the things that you love. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, please listen to this. I'm not saying not to do them, but do them at least while you're trying to understand and connect with what's bothering you. Because if you do the thing that makes you feel better, but you don't really understand why you feel sad in the first place, it's like, imagine my son is scared or is sad because I didn't buy him the toy that he wanted, and I go for a walk with him and I show him nature, but he's gonna still have this story of, imagine, I'm not good enough, that's why dad is not buying me what I want. I didn't help him change the story. I didn't help him. I just went outside and show him something that he loves, like nature, but we didn't address the story that he's telling himself of, I'm not good enough, that's why my dad is not buying this. Remember that behind any negative emotion, there's a story. So Mike, that you were asking, Suzanne, that you were saying this, if I'm sad, if I'm lonely, if I'm scared, if I'm jealous, if I'm feeling shame, if I'm feeling guilt, there is a story there. If I don't address the story, whether I do something nice or not, the story is not going to change. That's what I want to bring to you guys. So what a lot of people are doing is changing their state, forcing themselves to change their state to feel better, but they're actually not dealing with their pain. So that's where I call this an addiction, because you're creating a behavior to give yourself a little bit of a reward when actually you're not dealing with the pain inside. That will be the same thing as getting drunk, doing drugs, doing alcohol, doing whatever to numb the pain. This is exactly the same, but with a much nicer name, like, oh, I'm going to go meditate. I feel sad, so I'm going to go meditate. One thing is that during meditation, I connect, I understand what's going on in my mind. That's one thing. And the other one is just I sit back and I meditate to try to feel better, to try to feel positive. I might feel a little bit positive, but I'm have a layer of shit and I'm covering it up with sugar. I'm sugarcoating it to pretend it's not there. So changing my state without actually understanding why am I feeling the way I'm feeling is going to create more pain, because I'm abandoning a part of me that needs me, that is feeling sad, that is feeling lonely, that is feeling something negative, that needs my attention. So changing the state so you don't feel it makes sense just didn't connect with the ego theory. Okay, Mike, we can go there if you want, if you stay a little bit longer now in the one-on-one, and I'll call on the group call, but a little bit one-on-one, I'll try to answer that for you, okay? So going back to this one more time, whenever we do something that moves us away from the pain and we don't deal with the pain, that could be an addiction, because we're still causing mental and emotional pain in here, even though we don't see it. So if you look at the meaning of addiction, although many times they talk about harmful things in the body, mind is also part of the body, and it also creating, pain in the mind. If I walk away from myself, from a part of me that is feeling pain, I'm not actually dealing with something. I go watch a movie, I go eat something to feel better. I'm not actually dealing with the deeper problem. I'm just moving away. So I would really like to recommend to question what others are teaching you, to change your state to feel better. Instead of forcing yourself to change your state to feel better, understand why you feel the way you feel in the first place. Because if you had a partner and you felt bad, you would like your partner to come and ask you, hey, why are you feeling bad? Or the opposite also. If your partner is struggling and your partner is feeling sad, your partner would like somebody to come over and say, hey, how are you feeling today? Feeling sad? Why are you feeling sad? Wouldn't that be much more loving than just saying, oh, don't be sad, be positive. Look at all the great things you have in your life. You have a roof over your head. You have food on your table. Don't feel sad. What do you think is more loving? What do you think is more loving? Yes, exactly, Suzanne. It's abandoning little Suzanne with addictions. So it's much more loving saying, hey, why are you feeling sad? What's going on? Tell me. And inviting that part of us or the other person to share with us. So watch out, because we all have it. It could be work. It could be, I don't know, painting. It could be, doing a sculpture. If you're moving away from the pain to try to feel better by doing something that you love without addressing the pain, it's like having a broken bone and not dealing with it without walking. So now I'm going to stop walking. I'm not going to deal with my ankle because it's broken, right? I'd rather do, just sit here in this, wheelchair. So it doesn't bother me. You're not really dealing with the problem. Maybe you need to go to a hospital and get checked because maybe they need to put it in place. Maybe you need a cast. Maybe you need something to help you with that. We need to deal with the pain. We're in this darn era of personal development, and there's so many people out there that are teaching this, that we need to, in a way, do the things that we love. Yes, do the things that you love, but deal with your negatives too. Timing is important though. Yes, of course, Evan, timing is very important. But the most important thing to understand here, by feeling negative, try to deal with the negative. Try to communicate with yourself, understand what's going on, and then you're going to be able to, from there, do whatever you love from a much deeper connection inside of you than by trying to change your state. So thank you, everyone. If you're watching on social media, thank you for watching there. If you're watching on Zoom, stay around because we're going to stay a little bit longer here in the community. If you're watching on social media, again, let me know, #live if you're watching live, #replay if you're watching replay. I hope you enjoy this. I hope it helps, and I'll see you next time, people. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.